Jaya Radha Madhav Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhav Kunja Bihari Yashodanandana Brajajana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Banachari Jamuna Tira Banachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Banachari Yamuna Tira Banachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Paramahansa Parivrajagacharya Sri Smada Pridhanta Saraswati Goswami Bhagavad Ki Jai Ananta Kodi Vaishnava Ki Jai Ramacharya Sri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Se Kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhaktamani Ki Jai Sri Radha Krishna Bhagavad शाम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरी गोवर्धन की जय वृंदावन धाम की जय नवदीप धाम की जय गंगा माई की जय जमुना माई की जय गुरु द्वारका धाम की जय स्वामीत भक्तवृंद की जय ऑल ग्लोरी टू द स्मृति ऑल ग्लोरी टू द स्मृति थैंक यू वेरी मच
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept my respectful obeisances. All glories to His confounded Acharya, Divine Grace, the Prabhupada. All glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. So welcome to today's Srimad Bhagavatam class as usual. Our speaker today is Our Grace, Mother Shiti Shakti Devi Dasi. While we're waiting for her, we'll play some bhajan, and then sure she will be joining us in a very few minutes. Hare Krishna.
The reality. Your college degree took 4
Hare Krishna, Mother Shakti Shakti, Devi. Please accept my respectful obeisances of the
Hare Krishna,
Prabhupada.
Prabhu. Please accept my humble
Hare-
obeisances of this Prabhupada.
Thank you very much for honoring our invitation to Hare Krishna
Pleasure.
Cricket Club. And thank you very much. We've been waiting for you. And I think without wasting much time, Prabhupada has chanted the Jarada Madhav. So I think we can go straight into the class. I'll put the verse on the screen. Is that okay?
Yeah, sure.
Good. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. My obeisances, everybody. So nice to be with you again. I'll start with Mangalacharan and then I'll do the verse. Om Gyantimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yata Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sarvadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padhan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Sarika Prabhu, could you also make me co-host? Is that possible?
Sarika, can you make a co-host, please?
Yes, I'm doing that.
Okay, Hare Krishna.
Yeah. Yeah. So we go back to the verse.
I think she may share from her end.
It's okay. If you've got it, that's fine. Otherwise, I can share because this seems to be patchy.
Okay, you can go
I
ahead,
can
madam.
share. Shall I
Yes.
go ahead?
Yeah,
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. Okay, so we are on continuing with Canto 3, Chapter 16. We're now on verse 7. Yatsevaya charana padma pavitrarenum sadhyashata kilamalam pratilapta shilam nashrir viraktam mam vijahati yasya prekshalavartaitere niyaman vahanti. The Lord continued, because I am the servitor of my devotees, my lotus feet have become so sacred that they immediately wipe out all sin. And I have acquired such a disposition that the goddess of fortune does not leave me, even though I have no attachment for her, while others praise her beauty and observe sacred vows to secure from her even a slight favor. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The relationship between the Lord and his devotee is transcendently beautiful. As the devotee thinks that it is due to being a devotee of the Lord that he is elevated in all good qualities, so the Lord also thinks that it is because of his devotion to the servitor that all his transcendental glories have increased. In other words, as the devotee is always anxious to render service to the Lord, so the Lord is ever anxious to render service to the devotee. The Lord admits herein that although he certainly has the quality that anyone who receives a slight particle of the dust of his lotus feet becomes at once a great personality, this greatness is due to his affection for his devotee. It is because of this affection that the goddess of fortune does not leave him, and that not only one, but many thousands of goddesses of fortune engage in his service. In the material world, simply to get a little favor from the goddess of fortune, people observe many rigid regulations of austerity and penance. The Lord cannot tolerate any inconvenience on the part of the devotee. He is therefore famous as Bhakta Vatsala. This collection of verses in this section of the Bhagavatam are really, really something. They really are a very obvious and poetic opening of the Lord's heart. He's letting us into understanding why he is the way he is, what makes him feel the way he does, what motivates him, why he operates the way he does. You know, so many things happen in our lives, and we always ask, I wonder what Krishna wants. I wonder why Krishna's doing this. And we spend so much time trying to figure it out and speculate. But actually, throughout the Bhagavatam, in many of the conversations that he has with demons and devotees, he reveals his mind. We don't need to speculate on what Krishna wants when we simply have to turn to his words to find out. He tells us. So this collection of verses is very sweet. Vishnu's sharing with the four Kumaras. He's now having a dialogue. You know, he's intervening in their interaction with Jay and Vijay, his gatekeepers. And Jay and Vijay are his intimate. They're the inner circle. You don't have, you know, fringe people being your bodyguard. Okay, the people you trust the most are your bodyguards. So he really trusts Jay and Vijay. They're his heart. And as we've heard in the previous verses, they're so close to him, he sees them as non-different as himself. So any offense that they've caused is as if he's caused the offense. So he feels as aggrieved and as remorseful. And so, and you know, up until now, he's even been saying that. So much so is he aggrieved at any offense that he would cause to another person, especially his devotees, talking to the four Kumaras, that he's willing to even chop off his own limb. This is the humility and sweetness of the heart of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And this verse is no less full of nectar. There are so many themes in just this one verse because Krishna's heart is so multifaceted, multi-layered. It's so deep. We could unpack this verse, each word of it, and Srila Prabhupada's purport, and be here for another few weeks, months, maybe years as well, just on this verse. Because the deeper you dig behind every word, every sentence, the more of devotional service is revealed. And what I think there's a few themes that come up. I've narrowed it primarily down to 3 themes, and I'm going to focus on these 3 because, you know, we are bound by time, sadly. But really, before I go into those 3 themes, I wanted to really pick up on this very first sentence that Srila Prabhupada opens the purport with, in which he sums up the mood of Krishna's words here. What is the mood of Krishna's words? And and the phrase he uses is the relationship between the Lord and the devotee is transcendently beautiful. So he didn't just say, oh, it's beautiful. You could say, yeah, that's so beautiful. But he says it's transcendently beautiful. There are different types of beauty. There's beauty in the mode of ignorance. People in the mode of ignorance find beauty in the mode of ignorance, interactions in the mode of ignorance beautiful. They find it might make them laugh, it might make them more attracted, So what do we find attractive? If you're in the mode of ignorance, you will find mode of ignorance things beautiful and attractive. If you are in the mode of passion, there is also beauty in the mode of passion. Right? I'm not just talking about physicality, talking about attitudes as well. So the attitudes in the mode of ignorance, the physicality in the mode of ignorance, the faith that's there in the mode of ignorance. If somebody is driven by ignorance, influenced by ignorance, they are going to be attracted to those things. Right? They're going to be motivated by those things. Similarly with the foods, attitudes, appearances in the mode of passion are attractive to a person in the mode of passion. So if we take something like mode of ignorance, if someone's in the mode of ignorance, food that is putrid, decaying, rotting, grows in dark places, it's attractive. It makes their mouth water. If you're not in the mode of ignorance, what I've just said to you is going to make you go, oh God, I don't want to eat that, right? But if I describe this food to somebody else, I'll be like, well, yeah, but my mouth is watering at the idea of a steak which is rarely cooked, and I can see the blood oozing in the middle. It's like, oh my God. Where I'm sitting here mortified, somebody else will be licking their lips, right? You look at mode of passion. If you're in the mode of passion, hearing that foods that are too hot or too spicy or salty and pungent, if you're in the mode of passion, you're like, but I like that. Again, that will make your mouth water. And even the attitudes that, you get a quick result. It makes you hanker though, but you get a quick result. If you're in the mode of passion, like, yeah, okay, fine, I'm all right hankering, just give me my result, right? In the mode of goodness, the pleasure comes slowly. It maybe feels like poison in the beginning, but there's pleasure that comes, it comes slowly, but it's long lasting. If you're in the mode of goodness, if your attitude is in the mode of goodness, you will, and foods that are juicy, succulent, wholesome, like, okay, yeah, fine, I'm willing to do the austerity. Yeah, give me some of that. But what is a transcendently beautiful relationship? What is a relationship like in the mode of ignorance? It's full of resentment. It's full of apathy, lethargy, confusion, right? Sluggishness, the relationship attitudes, the anger sits, it festers. Okay, ignorance is bliss. Mode of ignorance, relationship is attractive. They're drawn to that kind of thing. Oh, there's no, but why can't be bothered? And if you both can't be bothered, then brilliant. Mode of passion, if you're drawn to that, instant gratification. Let's get results. Let's work together. Again, you scratch my back and I'll scratch yours, okay? Yeah, cool. We work great as a team. there's that. It's beautiful. It's mode of passion, beautiful. And the mode of goodness, doing things with enlightenment, wisdom. Let's grow together. Again, but there is still always, as there is with the material modes, there's always an element of what's in it for me. Okay, what am I going to get from you? But then this transcendently beautiful, Shuddha Sattva, this relationship between the Lord and his devotees is transcendently beautiful, because if you look at this dynamic, this is nothing to do with what can I get from you. The devotee is not thinking, what can I get from you, Krishna? Krishna is not thinking, what can I get from you? They're both thinking, how can I serve you better? And I am made of nothing but your mercy. Even Krishna thinks like this. He is saying, because I am the servitor of my devotees, because I'm their servant, my lotus feet have become so sacred that they immediately wipe out all sin. So it's not my lotus feet that will get rid of your sin. It's the fact that I serve my devotees. And it's by that transcendental attitude and that transcendental reciprocal relationship of love and service that is mutually beneficial is Krishna saying is that's actually what gives me my potency. My potency isn't from me. My potency is from serving my devotees. And the devotees are like, well, no, but our potency is from serving you. And isn't that wonderful? Where it's not about, hang on, who's better out of us two or who can get more out of the other. it's about actually, I'm nothing without you. And not in a codependent kind of way, like, oh, I need you, please. I can't do anything without you. And if you're not here, I'm nothing and I'm going to end my life. No, this is like and making the other person feel bad for not being around. It's not codependency. You know, there's a self-sufficiency, Krishna's Atmaram. And the devotee is fully self-satisfied because they're always connected with Atmaram. But at the same time, there's this beautiful, okay, I'm nothing unless I get to serve you. And Krishna's like, I'm nothing unless I get to serve my devotees. If I have any potency, any ability to make people forget their material designations, it's because I am at the lotus feet of my devotees. In fact, this quality of mine is so attractive. My association with devotees and my association by serving them is so attractive. That's really the reason that the goddess of fortune doesn't leave me. She's not with me because of my handsome good looks. Well, she must be. That was some factor to play in it. She's not with me because I'm the strongest and the wealthiest or the most renowned. She's there for those things. But actually, the reason she doesn't actually leave me is because I serve my devotees. The reason she doesn't leave me is because I serve my devotees, I have become sacred by their association. And, so much so that it doesn't matter how many people praise her beauty, observe sacred vows, just to get a slight favor from her. Those things, they don't really mean anything to her. You can observe vows, you can tell her she's beautiful. She knows that already. She's not going to come. She's not going to leave me. And why isn't she going to leave me? Because I've been sanctified by serving the lotus feet of my devotees. I mean, that is a masterclass in humility. When you have everything and you are everything and you still take no credit for your opulences. Isn't that wonderful? This service attitude is born from Krishna. In fact, it's so important to him. It's so at the core of our existence that his first expansion for pastimes is the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the mood of service. Lord Balaram, this is explained in CC Adi Leela 588. And, 688. And it's explained in there how this service attitude from Lord Balaram to every one and every expansion thereafter, that mood of service attitude is there. So we see Vishnu very openly expressing this to the four Kumaras, and he delights in it. He delights in it. Prabhupada does explain in that purport that because Krishna is the original, he has to have some awareness of his superiority at all times. And so that's why he has to, he experiences this service attitude through all his other incarnations, and even more so as Lord Chaitanya, because he comes as his topmost devotee, Srimati Radharani, in that path. But this service attitude doesn't leave its original station, because the original station of service, the source of service attitude, is the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself. Actually, if we look at our Supreme Personalities of Godhead, who we call with our Mahamantra, Srimati Radharani, Krishna, and Balaram, they are all embodiments of this service attitude in different ways. Because even with Krishna being the Supreme Purush, there is a service there. Because in enjoying, he's also protecting. In being superior, he's also giving shelter. But in this verse, he's really expressing this and delights in this service attitude. He says this in so many places, my pure devotees and me. He says this in the 9th canto. He's telling Durvasha Muni. Isn't it amazing how, and I'm always struck by this, Krishna reveals some of his innermost secrets, not to his devotees, But to people who are often impersonalists or have made an offense or are his devotees but haven't recognized him and have got caught up in pride, he unknots their misconceptions by revealing a very sacred part of his heart. So like with Durvasha Muni, when he's telling him, I can't protect you from my Sudarshan Chakra, actually only Ambarish Maharaj can. And he says, because my pure devotee is in me and I am in them, and all they think of is me, and all I think of is them. And this continues, it's not just when we think, okay, it's not until I'm a pure devotee that we get this nectar of this transcendentally beautiful relationship. But he even talks about this as the indwelling super soul in the heart. As the indwelling super soul in the heart, what does he tell us in the Gita? That he fulfills every desire. He fulfills every desire, even of the jiva who's chosen to turn away from him. That's how much sweetness he gets, and that's how much he means this sentence, I am the servitor of my devotees, my lotus feet have become so sacred that they immediately wipe out all sin. Okay, he appreciates that so much that we may say, I don't want to serve you anymore, so I'm leaving. But he doesn't ever stop serving us. Because he always, a couple of days back, we were looking at chapter 21 of the third canto. And in there, it's explained how, because it talks about the growth of the population from Swayambhuva Manu, and specifically goes into Kardama Muni and Devahuti's union. And Kardama Muni is praying to Vishnu, and he's explaining, he's reciting, and he's saying that, that this material world is not your desire. This material world is not created by your desires. Krishna doesn't want this. He doesn't want to create a place where we are separated from him. Prabhupada, in another part, and we read this in other parts of Shastra, but nothing exists without Krishna's will. Right? This material creation is manifested by Krishna's will. Because there is a difference between desire and will. Will is the precluding intention or contemplation prior to an act being performed. Desire speaks to the motive. So we see Krishna is such a servant that even though he has no desire to create this material world, he follows our desire to separate, to have a different existence, to have forgetfulness. And then he engages his will in our service to separate. He engages his will in fulfilling our desires and creates somewhere for us to play God, for us to forget. Because this question comes up, right? Even why do bad things happen to good people? Why does Krishna allow so many bad things to happen? Why does he want so many bad things to happen? He doesn't want anything that's going on for any of us, not even the pious things, because it's just they're still keeping us away from him. But he facilitates. He facilitates because he really just sees himself as everyone's servant. I mean, I've stopped. I'm pausing because I'm thinking, it's such a difficult thing to comprehend, and yet is extremely moving and very heart-touching. That this competition to serve is the heartbeat of our existence. And we play in that competition with the Supreme Personality of Godhead eternally and with each other. This is a really beautiful thing. If somebody was to ask, what is Bhakti Yoga? Bhakti Yoga is an eternal competition. An eternal competition in who can love better and who can love the best. This is Bhakti. Isn't that wonderful? I mean, so nice. It's more romantic than any movie, any song, any book, any literature. Shastra is, if you want to find the most romantic words, look to Shastra. Who speaks like this? Who speaks like this? Have you read any poems or songs or watched a movie where any of the personalities have spoken any of the words that he's just spoken in any of these verses? No. No, and someone else rocks up and curses your bodyguards. You're not going to get responses like that. Right? Someone else comes to your door, and while you're resting and all your bodyguards are doing was doing their job, doing their service, you're not going to reply to the people who come and, you know, harass your bodyguards like this. Of course not. Only Krishna. Eternal competition of love. It's really, yeah, quite wonderful. He's also telling us actually a secret to attracting the goddess of fortune. He's saying that if we want to attract the goddess of fortune, become a better servant. Because that's what she's attracted to. She's attracted to the servants of Krishna's devotees. See, when we think of the goddess of fortune, one might quickly think of Lakshmi. One might think of money. One might think of riches, wealth, Aishwarya, right? Because when you think about sacred vows to, you know, when he talks about people observe sacred vows to secure from her even a slight favor, that's often why people are either directly or indirectly worshipping the goddess of fortune, is they want some opulence, some wealth, some comfort in this world because, you know, it's kind of uncomfortable here. So they think, okay, we think, all right, if I get some special favor from the goddess of fortune, I might be a little bit more comfortable here. Maybe the prison sentence won't feel so long. But he's saying, you can pray to her, you can glorify her, you can worship her, you can flatter her, you can do strict vows, but you know, she doesn't really leave my side, and certainly she doesn't leave the side of the devotees because she is just completely attracted by this service attitude. But what's the highest fortune that the goddess of fortune gives us? Remember, the goddess of fortune, if you identify with her as Lakshmi Devi, you are connecting with her with only one particular function, especially the way she's portrayed and manifested in this world. But who is she really? She's actually none other than Srimati Radharani and none other than Bhakti Devi herself. Because it's from Srimati Radharani's heart that Bhakti Devi sprouts up. It's the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the form of mercy. She's the mercy principle. And when we really think about it, if we want to attract the goddess of fortune as Srimati Bhakti Devi, the only way is to serve, because she's independent. You see, she's independent. We know this from Madhurya Kadambini, by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, where he goes into the different stages from Shraddha to Prem. But he particularly, before he goes into that, he talks about the nature of this goddess of fortune, this Bhakti Devi. You know, she doesn't, you know, we understand she's chanchal, right? She doesn't stay in one place for too long. But as Bhakti Devi, she's very much exercising her independence. And the way she exercises her independence is by saying that I will be directed by the devotees. I'll be directed by those who already have me in their heart, and they can choose where to place me. They can choose where to place me. There's a very specific word when it talks about this causelessness in the Srimad Bhagavatam, the causelessness of devotion. It's from, I think it was Canto 11. Yes, 11:28. This word yadrichaya. Yadrichaya. So it can mean somehow or another, it can mean independent, right? So Bhakti Devi is independent. She decides to make herself dependent on Krishna's devotees. So even though Krishna is equal to everyone, because the nature of Bhakti Devi is that she has made herself a servant of the 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 Lord's servants. This goddess of fortune who never leaves his side is very happy to be distributed by the Lord's devotees. So it's this highest fortune actually is Prema Bhakti. Highest fortune is Prema Bhakti. But if we serve, we obtain. But when we're not serving, when we're not acting in devotion, what are we doing instead? Because there's no such thing as neutrality. So if we're not being attracted, what is happening? We're being repelled. Two things aren't coming closer together, they're moving apart. Nothing stays static. Nothing. So offense, offense, feeling affronted is like I'm going to push you away. Whereas devotion is, I'm going to pull you in. Aparadha, offense. Aparadha, without devotion, without Radharani, without Bhakti Devi. Right? So the same way that service attracts her, without service doesn't move her. She stays where she runs, she seeks out where the service is. So we have to ask ourselves, in one sense, what am I doing? Because I can't be neutral. With my body, mind, and words right now, what am I doing? Am I serving or am I offending? Krishna is being very careful here when he's dealing with the four Kumaras. If we look at this core set of verses, it is all about offenses. He's being, even he, we talk about offenses, we're worried about offenses because we want to come closer to the Lord, we want to come closer to his devotees. But he doesn't even have to actually worry about that, but he does worry about that. He's, by example and by nature, is showing us that even he wants to be devoid of offenses. Okay, all of these verses, he's getting really into the nitty-gritty that I know we can never be at this static, neutral point. So unless I'm serving, I'm offending. So let me not offend, let me just serve. Because where we are doing something, there isn't space for the other thing. Does that make sense? If offense is an absence of devotion, right? We often think offenses are certain acts, right? And one would be forgiven for thinking that because we look at offenses, don't we? We look at, what's Vaishnava aparadh? What's the list of different Vaishnava aparadhs? What's the list of different Seva aparadhs? What's the list of different Nama aparadhs and Guru aparadhs? So we get caught up in offenses being different actions. But actually, offense just means any act without devotion. Because any act without devotion inevitably is a disturbance to someone. So when we are consciously engaging with the reciprocal action or the reciprocal attitude, okay, the reciprocal attitude, or sorry, not reciprocal, the counter attitude, which is a service attitude, then there's no space for the offensive attitude. Where there's devotion, there's no room for no devotion or without devotion. Let's just look at, I just wanted to revisit something that some of you may be familiar with if you've heard me talk about it in some of my other sessions. But I'm going to just share with you, looking just at, if we look at the Skanda Purana, where, you know, we have more specifics about some of the behaviors that constitute Vaishnava Purana. So the 6 that are listed are killing a Vaishnav, blaspheming a Vaishnav, not offering obeisances, becoming angry at a Vaishnav, not feeling delighted when seeing a Vaishnav, or thinking ill of a Vaishnav in the mind. Now, bar killing a Vaishnav, most people can probably identify at least once they've done all of the others. Blasphemed a Vaishnav, not offered obeisances, been angry at a Vaishnav, thought ill of a Vaishnav in the mind, or not felt delighted. But actually, if we look at the counter action, or particularly attitude, and we behave and think and feel and speak in that way, there is no room, there's no need to worry about the actions or behaviors or attitudes which are without devotion. Because if we live in devotion, there's no question of living without devotion. So we look at even killing a Vaishnav. Everyone's thinking, oh, that, I mean, no risk of doing that. But killing isn't about just killing the body. Offending a Vaishnav is also about, am I killing the spirit of their bhakti? We are not going to kill the spirit of bhakti in another devotee if what our focus is, how can I protect them and their practice? How can I protect them and their devotion? We are not going to engage in blaspheming a Vaishnav if we focus on glorifying, encouraging, or appreciating them. We won't end up forgetting to offer obeisances or being negligent with offering obeisances if we constantly are meditating on how can I be respectful to everybody, both those manifest devotees and the unmanifest devotees. Rupa Goswami, when he talks about how we should treat devotees, and he goes through the different types of devotees, people get so caught up sometimes in thinking, well, hang on, is this person a first-class devotee, a second-class devotee, a third-class devotee? And they miss the whole point that actually it doesn't matter which one they are. He completely always comes back to, even for the most basic devotee, you at least respect them in your mind. Even the annoying Kanishta, who's divisive, okay, only sees God in the temple, has weak faith, okay, even that person, be respectful in the mind. Because if you're respectful in the mind, then your words will be respectful and our actions will also be respectful. Angry at a Vaishnav, before you get a chance to even be angry, let's communicate and let's forgive before there's even a chance to take offense. Not feeling delighted when seeing a Vaishnav. Delight is there naturally where we're grateful. It's very hard to be grateful when we don't recognize people for who they are. Thinking ill of a Vaishnav in the mind. There's no space to think ill of anyone if we are compassionate upon others and actually manifest good and positive outcomes for them, right? Where there's health, there's an absence of disease. So as we do this, as our focus becomes, in my Vaishnav Seva, how am I protecting devotees in their practice? Are my words and behaviors protective of their practice? And think about it, when people gossip, right? And these days, so much gossip is now passed as, oh, we're just venting or we're just brainstorming a problem. And before you know it, the lines start crossing and it starts to become criticism. We can stop and we think, okay, if I cross this line, am I protecting the consciousness of this person? How much am I glorifying, encouraging, appreciating others? How much am I respecting others internally? How much am I keeping my lines of communication open? How much am I expressing and experiencing gratitude? And how much am I manifesting for thinking good thoughts, sending blessings? You know, so because our own consciousness, state of mind, psychological and emotional landscape really determines how we perceive and respond to everything. The 4 Kumaras are bewildered when Vishnu is speaking to them like this. They're bewildered. You've come to see the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The gatekeepers don't let you in. You curse them. Vishnu comes out. You're thinking, uh-oh. But instead he melts you with his words and says it's his fault. And that he's the one who's made an offense. And this is worthy of him even chopping off one of his arms. And that he's nothing without serving his devotees. So how can he serve them? This is because his psychological, his emotional landscape is steeped in love and humility. So he perceives everything that happens as an opportunity to serve and love better. Look at Bhrigu Muni. When he comes to kick Vishnu in the chest, what's Vishnu doing? He's lying in Lakshmi Devi's lap. His head is in her lap. He's in a very intimate moment. It's a very intimate thing to have your head in the lap of your beloved. And Bhrigu comes along, says, excuse me, I'm really annoyed at you. Nothing. He just comes towards him and just kicks him in the chest. How does Vishnu respond? Is your foot okay? He greets him nicely because look at the psychological landscape of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Okay? Krishna doesn't offend anyone because he's never offended. The offended offend. And we really see how Krishna is never offended when he comes as Lord Chaitanya. Lord Chaitanya, Lord Nityananda, that's it. No offense. No offense considered, no offense taken. Yeah, so we have to look at our own mindset. You might have been hearing that list going, oh gosh, to live in that mindset, that heart set, one has to be very advanced. One has to, maybe your life has to be more peaceful. Shakti, what are you talking about? These are such lofty ideas. I'm not Krishna. Have you seen how hard my life is? You don't know what I'm up against. But cultivating attitudes, Krishna consciousness and surrender is a process of many small steps, not a few big jumps. Okay, progress means many small steps, and those small steps often we're taking not in our external decisions, but first of all in our attitude. Okay, we can ask ourselves, do I receive mercy as a privilege or an entitlement? Even down to the smallest things. Perhaps you're used to getting the Mangalarti sweet every day. You don't get it one day. See how it burns. If it doesn't burn, it's because you're grateful. It's your heart filled with joy. What a privilege, I've had it every day. Today I didn't get to have it. Or are you apathetic because you took it for granted anyway? Or are you angry because you feel like you should get it? After all, you are the most senior person in the temple. Or the most senior person standing there, So do we see mercy as a privilege or as an entitlement? When we suffer, do we see it as a blessing or a burden? Circumstances that could make us suffer, do we see them as a blessing or a burden? Because often whether we suffer because of something that's been sent our way is because either we see it as a burden or we're able to actually roll with it because we see it as a blessing. Cultivating progressively transcendental attitudes, aligning the human ego with the divine ego, these small steps are much easier to do in the power of association. The impact. This is another thing, this is the last theme I want to just touch on in this verse is Krishna's actually really speaking about the power of association. He's saying, I am what I am because of who I associate with. I associate with my devotees. That's who I serve. That's why I've become like this. So if association can change Krishna, it can definitely change us. We want to gossip less? Spend time with people who don't gossip. You want to be more positive? Spend time with devotees who are more positive. You want to be more forgiving? Spend time with devotees who are more forgiving. And how do we spend time? We serve. We inquire. inquire submissively and render service isn't just for this one relationship in our life of the Diksha Guru. When Krishna says, find a bona fide spiritual master, inquire submissively, render service. These souls have seen the truth, so they can impart that to you. If we can have that mood with not just one person, but wherever we see a well, a lake of Krishna Bhakti, and we drink from that well by inquiring submissively, rendering service, pleasing these Vaishnavas in whose heart Bhakti Devi is residing, who will distribute her. So surely we will change. Surely we will change, because if association can change Krishna, it can certainly change us. This is a beautiful verse, really just a beautiful verse. I have no doubt that whatever I've said has not done very much justice to Krishna's words, and this is just this is the extent of my limitations, I'm afraid. But I'm very open to hearing from all of you, your realizations, your reflections, your comments, your questions and corrections. So I will stop there. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Chidi Shakti David. Of course, as always. Krishna is amazing. Dear devotees, if anyone may have questions, comments, reflections, realizations you may want to ask or share, please indicate by using the hand emoji or your physical hand, and you'll be asked to unmute to ask your question. What? Kusha.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Krishna.
Pure devotee.
Hare.
Mother, I have a question on, you made mention of killing a devotee. So my question is, what kind of killing? Is it when we take the life, or when we use devotee and abandon them along the way, or when we gossip about devotees, tarnish their image? Different kind of killings. Which kind of killing are you referring to?
So I think I mentioned, this isn't just talking about killing of the body. This can also be referring to the killing of the spirit of bhakti. We may not destroy someone's body, but is what we're saying, is what we're doing, is what we're thinking, is it choking their devotional creeper? We often engage in acts like that when we become envious. When we become envious, we are literally saying to someone, don't serve Krishna nicely.
Okay, so
to serve Krishna nicely. So yeah, although in Shastra, killing, what does this word killing mean? You can take it as simplistically as, oh, it's just killing of the body. But if you actually look at all the other 6 that I mentioned, it's very clear that it's not just simply a killing of the body. Actually, it's also an offense to choke someone's devotional creeper.
Okay, if I make a devotee to lead Krishna service, have I killed him?
If you make a devotee leave Krishna's service.
Leave devotional service.
Leave devotional service. I mean, if you've intentionally done it, you really need to think about, yes, in one sense you have. But at the same time, thankfully, if we've got the kind of attitude which is going to so strongly affect someone, and we use it, we use the powers that we're given to go against someone's devotional life, we're not going to be able to do it for very long. And thankfully, other people's bhakti and Krishna's love for them is stronger than anything we can do. So on one level, yes, it is as good as killing someone if we make them leave, but know that it won't be allowed to go on unchecked.
So why do bad people live a long life and continue frustrating devotees?
Bad people live a long life. I mean, do they? I mean, we all live a very short life in Kali Yuga. It's no more than 100 years for most people.
Yeah, like we normally say in the material world. We normally say in the material world that evil people live longer. Like somebody is very good, but they die young. Look around the world, every good people don't live long, they die young. but wicked people who don't do anything to say to live long. Then in devotional service, if one makes one to lead devotional service, and you mention that it won't go on unchecked, why have they not been checked?
You don't know if they've been checked or not. See, our idea of someone being checked or not being checked is very circumstantial, right? We determine whether someone is being checked or not checked based on very superficial conditions, like what's their life like in this material world. But actually, really knowing if someone's being checked or not checked is what's the state of their heart? What's the state of their heart? If we measure mercy based on how someone's life is long or comfortable or opulent, then we've got it wrong. You don't even have to be a devotee to have a good long life and opulences and wealth and riches, you know. Even people who are demonic, people who don't worship God, atheists, people who are in the hellish planets, you know, demons, they can have really opulent lives. That is not, or a long life, that's not necessarily a good thing. What's a good thing? How has the sacred heart been protected? So when we say people won't be able to continue unchecked, one is on the spiritual level and one is on the human level. Now, we all have a service to do on a human level. And as community members, if we've got community members who are actively not taking steps to improve their behavior towards others, and their behavior is offensive to a point where it makes people leave, we must deal with that. Srila Prabhupada talks about this, actually. He says every devotee is simultaneously dealing with the spiritual side of the self and the human side of the self, and they must make sure that both are being taken care of.
Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you, Krishna Prabhu. Hamsadutta Prabhu, please, you may unmute.
Hare Krishna, Mother. Please, can you accept my respectful obeisances? All glory to Krishna Prabhupada and all glory to one of us and with devotees. Thank you once again for being here.
Thank you.
And you have enlightened the platform with a lot of laughter. Thank you. So, so I have two questions. My first question is, at what point a devotee has to be on the mood for the lotus feet of Krishna to take away all his offenses?
Can you repeat your question?
Yes, I think you mentioned that the lotus feet of Krishna burn away or take away all offenses.
Yes, they wipe out all sin. He says, my lotus feet have become so sacred that they immediately wipe out all sin.
Okay, so my question is, at what mood or at what point that can a devotee can have this fortunate of Krishna? Is it for everybody, or you have to, is it specifically for different people?
Very good question. Very good question. Krishna's lotus feet, his beautiful name, his qualities, his pastimes, they all are imbued with this ability to wipe out all sin. Sin is simply that which just keeps us separated from him. All actions that keep us separated from him. So when we look at aparad without devotion, any action without devotion is an offense, but every action without devotion is also on one level a sin, because we're saying, no, Krishna, I don't want you. So Krishna's feet, those beautiful lotus feet, those soft feet, they're always available. His name, his teachings, his pastimes, they're always available. How eager are we to receive? How eager are we to receive? So this is how the mercy is distributed. The rain shower of mercy is constantly falling. Do we have our umbrella up, or are we dancing in the rain?
Okay, thank you so much. And my second question is that as a devotees, we have to love devotees and we have to serve devotees.
You don't have to do anything.
Yes, okay. So if serving a devotees or loving a devotee cause you sufferness, do you still have to do it, or how do you go about it, even if it's causing you to suffer? This is my second question. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
I would say the question is, why are you letting it? Why are you letting it make you suffer? What is going on inside that you're receiving it in a way that's allowing you to suffer? You know, we have this sentence that we often say to people, you made me feel like this. You made me feel like that. You caused me pain. You ruined my day. Why is somebody else in control of how I feel? Why have I done that to myself? That is what we're saying to someone when we say, you made me. You make me feel like this. You made me do this. We're saying that I have no control over my feelings. You do. Why do we do that? So we say, should we continue to serve and love if it makes us suffer? I would beg the question, are we actually serving and loving? Because service and love only bring pleasure. If we're experiencing anything else, then something else is mixed in with that service and love. Unless you have a specific scenario, that would be, we need to stop and we need to check, why is this not making me happy? Why am I suffering when maybe I'm not serving, maybe I'm not loving? What is going on? Even if your suffering is because someone's exploiting you, that's, if you're letting someone exploit you, that means you're not loving and serving them. Because if you love and serve them, you won't let them exploit you. When people stay in abusive situations, they say, oh, because I love that person. No, you don't. You're attached through affection. You're attached maybe through some confusion. But if you actually love that person, there's no way you would allow another jiva to keep continuing behaving like that, even if it disrupted your social status. If you love your social status of being associated with that person, or the secondary gains you get from staying with that person more than you love them, then you will stay. And you will say, I'm finding it difficult here, I'm suffering. And why is love making me suffer? Because it's not love. I know that's harsh. I know that's harsh. But even in the most difficult and abusive situations, where on balance 99.9% of the problem is the fault of the perpetrator, that 0.1% of I have autonomy to walk away still has enough power to completely tip the scales. You have to be brave. Prabhupada says a devotee should be willing to do whatever it takes to become Krishna conscious, even if it's socially unacceptable. And what does he mean by this? He's not saying we should go around like, vigilantes and, vagabonds and just do whatever we like in the street because of our, we're protecting our Krishna consciousness. He's talking specifically in those contexts. He's speaking specifically about, don't get so caught up in the secondary things that you stay in situations which are actually harmful and damaging.
Yes, thank you. This is very wonderful answer. That means the service is there. You have to do it as a devotee out of love. But that does not mean that you have to break your back or
There's got to be
suffering
balance.
doing that. Yes, thank you. Thank you so much, Mother. This is very wonderful answer. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Well, Hare Krishna, thank you so much. Beautiful answer. But I have a follow-up question too.
Of course you do, Sahadev.
As you were answering the question, a pastime came to my mind, and that is when Vyasadeva had compiled all the scriptures, and still he was not feeling very happy. And then his spiritual master told him the reason.
Mm.
So even though Srila Vyasadeva had compiled every sort of knowledge needed for the human beings to live in this material world, that he had not provided the human beings with bhakti.
Mm.
And so he was despondent. Even though he had given everything, so-called everything, but he still felt he was lacking something.
Yeah, he felt uneasy.
Yes, until the spiritual master told him, hey, you've done this, you've done that, but you forgot this most important thing. So could it be that in the life of a devotee, one may be rendering service out of love and devotion to a particular individual, but maybe the service the individual is rendering, it is not, how do I describe it?
Of high quality?
I wouldn't say high quality. It is high quality according to the performer.
Yes, but internal high quality. That's what I
Yes.
mean. It lacks love and service attitude.
Yes, but maybe the recipient doesn't really value what is being presented to him. And so even though the person is rendering this service out of love and devotion, but the recipient doesn't really care about it. He feels that you could do more.
Okay, so first of all, when you look at the example of Narad Muni coming to see Vyasadeva,
Yeah.
Vyasadeva, when he's feeling despondent, he calls on his spiritual master, right?
Yeah.
So the spiritual master comes. Vyasadev's uneasiness is driven by his purity of devotion. So the super soul reciprocates, comes as the spiritual master and says, yes, you can adjust this a little bit more. I actually want you to give devotional service to everybody. Now, coming back to this point I made about what Srila Prabhupada speaks about, at any given time, all devotees in this material world are dealing with their spiritual identity and their human identity, and both need to be taken care of. If we're doing a service and externally we're competent, and we are internally, to the degree that we are engaging with love and in a loving service manner, there's a sliding scale in one sense. If we are not so dependent or not so engaged with the loving service attitude as a Vaishnav, but we are more dependent on increasing the quality of service based on our competence, then we are also more dependent on our reciprocation coming from the person we're serving in a very expressive, validating manner. Yes? To the degree that we're able to shift our service attitude much more towards love and devotion, actually who we please in that person's heart is the super soul. And from that, we get reciprocation from within and guidance on how to serve deeper and satisfaction as well. This is for everybody who has super soul in the heart, not even those who are manifest and conscious Vaishnavas. I remember hearing a class with Tribhuvanatha Prabhu, and he was talking about, there was a few of us healthcare professionals there, and he was saying, one of the reasons doctors and nurses are often very happy in their jobs, even when they're underpaid and overworked. He said, is because whilst they're doing this work of looking after other people, they don't actually ask the patient for anything. There's no transaction. And, especially here in the UK, it's all free at the point of access. It's all National Health Service. So there's no transaction. And so, well, as they're serving the other person, the super soul in the heart of the other person is pleased. And then the super soul in the heart of the healthcare professional picks up on that, feels very satisfied. So does the soul. And there's this beautiful reciprocal virtuous cycle of pleasure taking place. And so there's a gratification that comes, a satisfaction that comes beyond just being well situated in Varna or being comfortable in your Varna or things going well. There's something that comes from pleasing the super soul in another person's heart. You feel that through your super soul and through straight into your own identity and your own soul level. It's very deeply satisfying. So when we're going about our services, the reason I'm emphasizing we're all performing actions all the time. Are we performing them with devotion or without? Because if we're doing them with devotion, we're inviting Radharani, we're getting closer. We will experience reciprocation, which is beyond just the reciprocation that comes externally. Now, this is not me minimizing validating. We should almost validate and encourage the heck out of each other, as Vaisheshika is always saying. We're saying, encourage the heck out of each other. We must do this. This is a loving community. We express what's in the heart. However, for us as individuals, we also need to strike a balance. How much is my service attitude dependent on external validation, and how much is it really dependent on, am I crafting this mood of doing things, saying things, behaving in ways that are full of devotion? Because if they're not full of devotion, they're without devotion, because there's no such thing as neutral. And if they're without devotion, then they are all just simply saying, stay away from me, Krishna. Prabhupada says, if we do service without our sadhana, he says it's simply ordinary work, even if it happens in a temple. So our sadhana is our time to cultivate those devotional attitudes, because ultimately all of our offenses, as well as the watering of the seed of devotion, particularly at this age, highly depends on the quality of our japa. Highly depends on the quality of the japa. It's like you take a motor car. It doesn't matter how much water and oil you put in it. Of course, water and oil are important for the car. But if you don't put petrol, forget it, it's not going to run. Right? So service is important, and other 9 limbs of devotional service are important. But in this age, we have got a specific prescription for chanting the holy name. There is no other way. There's no other way. There's no other way. Doesn't matter how much we cogitate about it. Doesn't matter how philosophical we get. There is no other way. It's so simple, you'll miss it. And many people do. So does that make sense? If the other person is not reciprocating, we've got to manage the human side as well as the transcendental side. But the one thing we have definitely under our control is, what's my service attitude? And you know what? Krishna's kind. He never forsakes a sincere soul. Even if we're misled, he will redirect us.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for the detailed response.
Sorry.
No, no.
I can't give a short answer.
No, I said detailed because I did not expect to get this much, because it's so helpful. It helps clarify and opens more window to what I was conceiving prior to asking the question. So it's so helpful. Govinda Prabhu, you may unmute our modern day Garuda.
Yeah, you're always on the move.
Yeah,
It doesn't matter what class I see you in, you're always on the move.
Always. Hare
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, brother. Thank you so much for this wonderful presentation. I have many questions. Many questions, but maybe I'll ask 2.
Maybe you'll ask 2, okay?
Okay.
You're going to do a Sahadev, go for it.
So my first question is, I just want to make it very brief.
Sure.
Not to prolong the question. What is the difference between offending someone who is not Krishna Bhakta, otherwise who is not a devotee of the Lord, and offending a devotee of the Lord, in terms of their reaction to these 2?
Our reaction to offenses depends on the degree of the offense, the quality of the person we offend, and our own quality. The more advanced we are, the more is expected of us. The more advanced the person we're offending, the greater the impact on us, because they're carrying more bhakti. So bhakti is flowing through that channel more. So if we block off that channel, when we make an offense, we basically block off. We close off one of our arteries, right? You start closing off arteries, your limbs start falling off, especially if it's the big ones. You cut off a little capillary, you're not going to notice. Okay, so this isn't about offending devotees or not offending devotees. There is that, but if we get busy trying to analyze how advanced is the person I'm offending, it shows our lack of advancement. When someone's very advanced as a practitioner, Krishna doesn't allow us really to make much offense at all, because when someone's advanced and they're experiencing things and they're noticing what it feels like to actually be in connection with Krishna and experiencing a very deep level of Krishna consciousness, they notice minor fluctuations. It's like if you have a clean sheet, you'll notice little bits of dirt on it very quickly. Whereas if your sheet's very dirty, add a bit more dirt to it, it's not going to really make much difference. And the problem with a very low level of devotional consciousness is, first of all, you can't recognize the advancement of another person. And so we might get caught up and calculate, well, I wonder what the impact on me is really going to be. I mean, they're not that much of a devotee, it doesn't really matter. You know, if we're thinking like that, we can pretty much say our sheet is very dirty and more dirt's added to it. We're not going to really notice anyway, because it was dirty in the first place. So rather than worrying too much about how advanced is the person that I've offended, and how big is the artery that I'm cutting off, let's not worry too much about that. Let's just try not to cut off any arteries, because the sooner we can become unoffendable and offenseless, the quicker we'll experience the joy of Krishna consciousness.
All right. Thank you very much, Mother. So my second question is that we understand the importance of loving ourselves and also to love everyone. But what I'm seeing is that it's sometimes become very difficult to love everyone. But we are meant to love everyone, to love everybody. This weekend, this Prabhu was here in Columbus. Amarenda Prabhu. Amarenda, is that the name? Yes.
Amarendra.
Amarendra Prabhu was here in Columbus. I think he's still here. And after his class, I realized that each and every devotee want to touch him. They want to hug him. You can see how much he's pulling everyone, or everyone is pulling to him. So I was asking myself that if we can give this much love to each and everyone every day, how beautiful that will be. And again, I was thinking, why is it that we are all attracted to him, but not be attracted to, anybody else like that? So I know purity is the force. It's like a magnet drawing any metal. So my question is, we are not pulling people like that. People are not giving it that much love. Does that show does that shows our level of devotion, because we are not pure enough, and that's why we are not attracting love? Or we are not pure enough, that's why we are not giving love? That's my question.
I mean, Jesus Christ was a pure devotee. Srila Prabhupada is a pure devotee. They didn't have everyone behaving like this. does that mean that their love for God was any less? In fact, Jesus was crucified. Prabhupada was criticized. You know, the billions of people on the planet, Prabhupada did wonderful things. Travel around the world so many times, opened so many temples, initiated 5,000 disciples. 5,000 out of a whole planet. Does that mean that only he was only qualified to have 5,000 people love him? So people are attracted for many, many different reasons. We're not in the business of looking for external signs of whether we are loving or not. The kind of love we're looking for is when we love Krishna, we love everyone else. And as we love everyone else, we love Krishna. It's a mutually reciprocal relationship. So this whole theme today about steeping our activities, behaviors, attitudes, and thoughts and words in devotion, what will please God?
But I'm not hearing it.
What will
I'm
please
not
God?
hearing you enough. Maybe I don't know whether it's from my side here.
Yeah,
Maybe from your side.
I think it's your side. What?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So you may want to listen back to the recording, but what I'm saying is
Yeah.
it's this love we're talking about. It's not about popularity. It's not about how people express their affection. Actually, very pure people, often people will keep a distance because you're kind of feeling so, even at a distance, loved and by them. Also, remember, spiritual love is not always comfortable for everyone.
Mm.
Spiritual love is also a disruptor, like the Maha Mantra. It's not always comfortable for people to chant it the first time. It's a disruptor. It can make people quite upset the first time they chant it or make them agitated. Other people do feel peaceful. Other people do feel loved. So similarly, it's, I think, judging ourselves and other Vaishnavas based on a public response is not healthy.
Mm.
It's not healthy. It's not a shastric or logical or psychologically accurate way of assessing the quality of someone's devotion or even our own. Shastra is very clear about what purity looks like, how purity is experienced, what bhakti feels like. And real bhakti is recognized by those who have bhakti. Half the time, when even if you just look at a celebrity, okay, half the time the people throwing themselves at a celebrity don't even have the qualification to recognize the quality of their talent. You know, you throw yourself at a celebrity who sings really well when you can barely hit a C sharp. You know, it's like you can't really, you're not qualified to really even assess how good they are as a singer, but you value them on so many other parameters, right? So our ability to measure someone else's bhakti is determined by our own level of bhakti. Yes, we can study to some degree based on Shastra, but if we really study Shastra, we'll know that we're not in the business of measuring everybody else. We're simply in the business of serving.
Well, thank you so much. Actually, I'm not trying, may Krishna forbid, I'm not trying in any way to assume that His Grace Amarendra Prabhu is like the category of these people I'm going to try to talk about.
Yeah, that's why it's dangerous when you name people, yeah? We're not, even me, I'm not talking about him. He's not referenced.
Yeah.
I'm talking about general principles.
General, yeah. But just like Govinda Prabhu said about the affection devotees had. So generally, if we put it this way, I do not think that there have been lots of people faint, swoon for seeing the Lord Jesus Christ or Prabhupada as many as people did when they saw Michael Jackson.
Yes, exactly.
You know, or Messi. No. These excuse me, say these are material people, but they pull crowd and they draw people. So that in itself cannot be like a yardstick.
Measure, yes.
But it's nice that if people can pull people towards them and give them transcendental knowledge, that is also
an inspiration, right? Because the transmission of transcendental knowledge is based on heart exchange.
I think we had
Janita, she wanted
Janita's hand up. Janita, can you unmute, please?
This was
Janita, you're hilarious. Did you just say Michael Jackson may be seen as an incarnation of a god of movement?
Yes, sorry, because you just, I thought I'd bring in some comical stuff there. He is really intense, man. He's really unique, isn't it? Like, who knows what he could have been? Like, people really value him in various ways, even today, even though he's dead, like, they still know him. He's a legend. I can't remember what I was going to say, but I think I started writing some notes in the messages as you were talking. Okay. And I just love this session. It's so beautiful. You make everything sound so simple. And I wrote, if only it felt so simple, like the concept is so beautiful. And I wrote that, like, when you have to be the servant of the servant of the servant of the Lord, it's just you have to be a servant of humanity, knowing that you know nothing about what people are going through.
Yes.
That level of humbleness simply requires self-reflection in all situations, not pinpointing anywhere else, because when we pinpoint elsewhere, it's something that we have to address within us, a heart. Maybe for me it'd be heart, inner heart. Because I'm into trauma, I'm into neurodivergence. I ask you, what about, like, we have patterns of behavior, we have stress responses given our condition, like how, like let's say myself, I think I've got good intelligence and I understand simple and I think I'm naturally good at service. However, my feeling consumes me before it even comes into my intellect. Then I really lose it. And then this level of intelligence, and I overthink it all, and I lose it. It's crazy. That is making me lose it. What do you suggest I do as a woman that is an overthinker, a bit over the top? And I've realized that even euphoria is too much, knocks me out. Like now it's like euphoria knocking me out instead of the other stuff. And I've gone through a lot. I've gone through a lot in the past few months. My voice hasn't even come back. Even when I heard you sing and I was ready to sing, my eyes just watered. My voice didn't come out. I called you the gangster guru. And not like, my dad was profoundly deaf, so even words don't really matter to me. Like when I say gangster, I'm scared that I'm offending people by using that word, but I'm not. I'm using it for you as someone who speaks raw and pure in such a beautiful way. And that's the reason why I love calling you a gangster guru, because it's just my lingo, it's the kind of lingo, the silly lingo that I use. And I love what you said in another talk, because I listen to everything. I'm a bit addicted to you as a woman as well, as a woman, and like like you represent feminine feeling a lot. And I love that. And you don't hear that a lot. We're looking at everyone else, everyone's always prim and proper, like it's beautiful. Then I like a bit of like, oh, let's throw in some, I don't know, some a bit silly, like, and see how respond then, or just throw a spanner in the works just to see what happens, because it's like I just feel like this cheeky person in my Krishna consciousness that just throws spanners and scares the living daylights out of people. But it's less about me wanting to know, because I think my intelligence is just knowing whether these people are bona fide or not, or where they are. It's a bit weird. Like where I feel with all this is really weird. It's almost opposite to everybody else. I don't even know if that makes sense.
I don't think you should strain your voice anymore. I appreciate your encouragement and your kind words. So I'll answer your question. Your question seems to be along the lines of how can we regulate emotions better? Because emotions play a big role in how we perceive and behave. And that's for everybody. We were speaking about this a little bit in one of the sessions we did on, I think you came for it, the Art of Letting Go series that we did for iFast. So that in that we did go into it a little bit more in terms of, just this phrase that, when we take offense, this concept, when we take offense, we make offense. right? And our emotions have a big part to play in that. But there's a lot of things that influence our emotions. Even fundamental things, sleeping, eating, that it creates a variability in our emotional thermometer or barometer, right? A well-working thermometer or barometer, it moves steadily depending on the temperature. But when it's not working well, it goes like this, right? So it's quick to go up, quick to come down, sometimes stays flat. The needle kind of gets a bit funny. So we've got to all look at ourselves at different stages of life and the different types of body we have, what's impacting. So like I said, sleeping, eating, kind of foods we eat, the timing, the regularity of meals, how our brain is wired, what modes we're governed by, what stage of life we're at, what hormones, stresses, demands are on us. So when we are talking about this idea that how can I reduce the frequency with which I feel affronted or get offended or get upset for myself, but also in the service of others, because, the offended offend. The offended offend. We're doing a great service for ourselves, for our Krishna consciousness, and for other people. When we understand honestly, what is my human landscape like? What is this vehicle like? And it changes. It changes. So balance is important, and balance really means recalibrating regularly. Right? You watch a tightrope walker, the expert tightrope walker. You look at the one that, like, if I tried walking on a tightrope like this, I could be like, I am recalibrating like all the time, but they're like big movements to keep me on the rope. You look at an expert tightrope walker, they look like they're walking smoothly, but they're recalibrating so regularly, it's millions of tiny little motions that are not even detectable to the eye. So when we are this attentive to our Krishna consciousness and all the aspects of that, all the psychological, physiological, service, familiar, all the different parts, when we are calibrating, okay, I need to adjust this because I need to, what's the gold standard? My gold standard is I need to have my soul food every day. If I don't have time for soul food, then everything else will fall to pieces. So if having my soul food for the next 6 years or 6 months means I have to do a little less of this and a little less of that and a little more of this, and maybe you need to sleep a little bit more and eat a little bit less and do a little bit less, and another period of time you need to do more and sleep a bit less. Do you see what I mean? It's just so this balance means regular recalibration. Okay, regularly recalibrate. So if you're finding yourself off kilter with your emotional regulation, have a look what's changed. And if it is more the stage of life that you're in, then do yourself a favor, all yourselves, your physical self, your psychological self, and your spiritual self, and take care of it. And make sure you have time for your soul food. These 9 processes of devotional service, that is our soul food. Prabhupada didn't say health, sadhana, then service because it's a nice thing to put on a t-shirt. Okay, he said that because until we are at a level where the predominant nourishment for us comes from our bhakti, right? Until we are at that point, health is essential because this vehicle is our vehicle that takes us back home. Remember, our heart is our body is a temple. It really is. And our heart is an altar on which we seat the personality of Godhead. So how are we taking care of those things? I hope your voice comes back soon, and I hope you start feeling better soon. Okay?
Well, thank you. That was beautiful, stunning response. Thank you.
There's a question here.
learned a
I
lot.
want to just take this question from
Kalpana.
Kalpana. She's just saying, what do you mean by the offended offend? Because when we're offended, what happens? When we're affronted, when we're upset, we get plagued by emotions that they bewilder our intelligence. We don't see clearly. When we don't see clearly, we don't communicate clearly. We end up engaging in behaviors and speech that we wouldn't say at any other time. And so then we end up offending others. And if you just can get caught up in this cycle of the offended, I just keep offending each other. We live in a world which Prabhupada describes as not just an age of quarrel, but he says an age of bluffing. Okay, this quarrel and bluffing are two cornerstones of why we keep up this vicious cycle of being the person who gets offended and then we continue. There has to come a point where you have to diffuse it. And you just have to, like, how can I not be upset about this? How can I not take offense at this? Or if I have taken offense, how can I rid myself of anger quickly and forgive so I can reach my equilibrium and clarity and then plan the next steps? Forgiveness does not mean that we don't action. Forgiveness empowers us to action better because it reinstates not just our human intelligence, but our spiritual intelligence. Drishti.
Hare Krishna Mataji, my obeisances to you.
Obeisances.
I mean, recently I've been having some terrible shoulder pain. It's still going on. You know, as I'm chanting, the pain is becoming extreme. You know, like it's kind of going to 100% more. Is that because, I don't know, is it like a negative energy has kind of stuck into my shoulder and arm, and when I'm chanting it's becoming really difficult?
No, it could just be something as simple as the way you're sitting. It could be that when you start chanting you become tense. So just go get your shoulder looked at. It's Krishna doesn't punish us by sending us negative energies when we start chanting for our offenses. I think if you're getting...
it's coming from the heart. That's what, because when I'm chanting,
you said it's your shoulder pain.
Yeah, it's a shoulder pain, but it's reflecting towards the heart. You know, when you chant, I would still say go and get... I did go to my GP and everything, but then when I'm chanting, it's kind of making it more difficult.
Okay.
I mean, I can talk, it's nothing like that, but it's only when I'm chanting which is making it difficult.
Yeah, I think you just get it looked at. It's not related to the Mahamantra. Krishna's not gonna, he just doesn't.
Or is it something, I don't know, something negative which is not going out really?
No, why would it? When you're chanting japas, that's the last time. That's the least of your worries.
So maybe that's
what I'm saying. Don't overthink it. Don't turn it into something metaphysical. It's likely there's something going on with your shoulder. It may be the way you're sitting. It may be the fact that when we chant, we sit for a very long time. And I've noticed a lot of devotees, they don't take care of their posture. They don't take care of their breathing when they're chanting. They don't, Satchidananda Maharaj, he says in one class that he specifically took up exercising many years ago. I think he said 20 years ago. He started becoming very serious about exercise because he wanted to develop his sadhana where he could sit and chant for a long time. And to be able to sit and chant for a long time, you need to have really strong back muscles, strong core, strong hips and thighs, flexors. It all needs to be strong so that you can sit for a long time without it causing pain and discomfort. So he became serious about his physical health in the service of his spiritual health. So don't neglect this. It's not a negative entity. You're chanting japa, but it may just be your posture. So go to the GP or get a physiotherapy referral, but get it looked at. Okay?
Okay, Mataji, thank you.
Okay.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, I'm looking at the time. I don't think there's anything else.
No, there is something else, please.
Okay, go ahead.
Mother Janita, I'm not sure whether you participated in the 3-week workshop CITI Shakti did with the iFast.
I don't think I'm as exalted as you guys. Like, I'm just dipping in and out. Life is a bit crazy for me. But I try my best to listen to
Janita, you're on the community anyway, the spiritual warrior community. The classes have been posted.
Yeah.
So.
Oh no, I listen to all of it. I just like to hear. It's like I like to hear it a few times from other people's. I think I even like myself talking about stuff just so it opens up other people, because I find sometimes we're so sensible within these spaces, and for me that's quite uncomfortable. I like just talking raw and pure. I like talking all the hard stuff, how hard it is, but sometimes what happens is I get labeled with it. It's not really that. It's just if I open myself up, I open up other people and we can have a deeper discussion but the labeling becomes very apparent, like, oh,
Sure.
I'll do this.
Yeah.
I focus on breath work only and alignment work. That is my go-to. But sometimes when my brain is overactive, it goes too much into,
The
it's almost
detail
like
and
I'm trying
overanalyzing.
too hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah, I hear
trying
you.
too hard. So I have to strip my brain, all right? Like I have to tell my brain physically, shut up. Just be quiet now and just breathe it, be it. And I have to dance and sing it. I have to dance and sing. So that's how I do it. But I don't it's almost like a non-verbal. I do it in a non-verbal way instead of the intellect, because the intellect part is
Sure.
quite easy for me to understand. It's really simple almost, but it's like complex simplicity when it comes to brain and functioning
Yeah.
within
Thank
this
you.
world.
Thanks, Janita. Sahadev, did you?
Is it possible, because I don't have access to the recordings, but I will be very grateful if I can have the recordings so
Yeah,
I
I can
can
forward
share
it. I
with
can
other
forward them to you.
devotees,
Yeah, I
because
can
they were
forward them.
very, very, very good.
Yeah,
Very,
no,
very
I'll
good.
send them to you. That's
Very
fine.
good. Now, I have this last question.
Oh,
I
okay.
don't know whether it's a question or remark or whatever, but some few months or so ago, I saw one poster in which Tabar Krishna Goswami Maharaj was saying that the guru also misses
The disciple.
the disciples as much as the disciples miss the guru. And I was thinking to myself, really? Then the job or the responsibility of being a guru is not an easy thing,
No.
because when I read that, I was trying to recollect how when Gurudev would visit us, how we all fall. I mean, even those of us with steel hearts, our hearts get melted somehow. And when he leaves, everybody is broken down. And I'm thinking to myself, if the guru is also feeling like that, oh my God. And he goes to another place, he has to leave, and he's feeling like that. But this particular reading, this particular text is so powerful, it's so beautiful that, I mean, I have heard, I haven't experienced, I've heard how sweet Krishna is. I haven't actually tasted it. I hope to taste it someday.
We're tasting it now. Look at that verse.
But the mere fact that Krishna is speaking the way he's speaking, that he is ready to do anything and everything for his devotee. Now, the question I have is, I personally, I'm trying to be a devotee. I'm not yet a devotee. So how and at what point does Krishna also do something to kind of reciprocate the little love expression I'm trying to offer to him? Because I'm not yet a devotee. I'm just here. But it's so sweet to hear how Krishna relates with his devotees, but I'm not there yet. And Gurudev used to say that he appreciates us because we have read that Krishna consciousness is so sweet. Material life is sweet, but compared to spiritual life, it's nothing. And we were all having some material sense gratification, and we gave them up to taste the spiritual nectar. But some of us, if not most of us, are not tapping into that spiritual nectar. Nevertheless, we keep going. So with that, he appreciates. But what I'm trying to get from you, Mother, with all my long talk, is me not being a devotee, but at the same time, trying to serve the Lord and his devotees. how and when does Krishna actually reciprocate with my insignificant attempt to serve him? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Krishna is always reciprocating. We don't understand his language of love. Progressing on the path of bhakti is really a life of regaining our ability to understand Krishna's love language. So he's always reciprocating. He's always talking to us. We are deafened by the noise of material nature. This is what you mean by this experience of us feeling like I'm not a devotee yet, right? But actually, even when we're at the higher stages of devotion, we don't feel like, we're not going to feel like a devotee. That's there's a symptom of, I don't feel like a devotee because I can't hear Krishna or I can't connect with Krishna. But then there's, I don't feel like a devotee because even though I hear and feel Krishna, I feel so unqualified to be hearing and feeling Krishna, but somehow or another, he's allowed me to understand his language of the heart. So if you didn't have any devotion, there is no way you would even relish this verse or even ask that question. So on some level, you are understanding the language of his heart. Otherwise, you wouldn't even be allowed to read these words. So how and when? He is always reciprocating. He talks to us from within. As the super soul, he talks to us from without, through Shastra, through association, through Guru, through events, through experiences, through our own thoughts and feelings. But decoding it and seeing what he's actually saying to us, that's where we have to untangle ourselves from the addictions we have here. And we are addicted to this self. So as we loosen that, the glue attachment to this self, and we listen out for him, this reciprocation that's constant becomes more available. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. But I'm just hoping that someday the honey in the bottle will pop
Spill out of the jar.
Yes.
This is where we need the mercy of the Vaishnavas.
Yes,
right?
thank you.
Like I said, if association can change Krishna, it can definitely change us. If there's one thing I can hand on my heart, say, helps me shift at all in my spiritual life, is it's who I associate with. If I've managed to get some good association and please a devotee in any shape or form, I notice shifts. And when I'm struggling, I know I've probably upset someone and been negligent, because then that mercy is missing from my life.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Due to time constraints,
Yes, we must stop.
We're going to bring this to a close. And usually I ask for concluding remark, but I think you already did.
I just did it, yes.
Yes. So, dear devotees, we're going to humbly request you all to kindly unmute. And we all, with one heart, chanted the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra to express our deepest appreciation and gratitude to our beloved speaker, Her Grace CITI Shakti Devi, for sharing her love and wisdom with us as she usually does with us all today. Please, we may all unmute. Jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare
Krishna,
Hare.
Hare Hare, Rama Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Thank you, Mother Yashoda.
Shakti Devi ki jai.
Yay!
Hare Krishna.
Ki jai.
Jai.
Vaishnava devotees ki jai.
Jai.
Hare Krishna.